Hi guys, here we are in another MSFS flight. This time we're taking the Chancellor, the Flysimware Cessna C414 from Maribor in Slovenia to Innsbruck in Austria. It's about a 200-mile flight plan, and I'm gonna do this kind of like a review where I'm gonna show the features of the aircraft or talk about the systems that are also implemented. We're gonna start a walk around from getting off the airplane using the door, and we're gonna walk around it just as a real pilot would do. By the way, I'm not a real pilot. So we have here the left wing. Looking at the left wing, looking at the aileron, it looks okay. Behind the engine, in here, so the engine kind of stops here, the engine compartment. This is a firewall, and this is a luggage compartment inside the engine cowling, or actually the wing. We have here the filling intake of the left wing fuel tank, and of course the electrostatic wicks, or the electrostatic vanes that gather the charge build up from the fuselage and discharge it in the atmosphere, given there is a difference in electric potential between them. So there is a tension, electrical tension between the atmosphere and the wick. We can see here the transparent cover of the strobe light, the transparent cover of the position light, left position light. Here this whole black thing is the de-icing boot. You can actually see it from the in another texture than the rest of the wing, which is very nice. Okay, now in here is a very important part of a hugely important system, the AOA, sensor. So this system will tell the pilot if he's approaching a stall, which is not good. This flip will go up as the AOA increases. So basically, as you can see, the flip is below the wing, is on the under part of the wing, and if air comes from somewhere around here, like a high angle of attack, it will push this flip up, and the alarm will sound in the cockpit. However, in normal flight, this flip stays down. Okay, so let's look at the fuel So 100 grade aviation fuel, minimum usable 102 gallons per tank, so that's okay. These are vortex generators. They re-energize the air over the wing, especially in high angle of attack. The airflow separates from the wing because of low speed. These things generate turbulent air around here, very near these. These are not huge vortex generators like you find in an F-18 or a fighter aircraft in general. These are just small. They energize the airflow within this small volume of air above the wing, so that the airflow stays in laminar flow more than it would without it. So this is the de-icing boot. It works. I'll show you. However, this needs the pneumatic system to be on, which is powered by 2 pumps in the engines. So I need to start the engines to show you the boots. There is also so this is the de-icing system. There is also an anti-ice system. For example, in the props, you have this part that is the slower part of the propeller. This has no problem with ice, this part, because the speeds are so high, the centrifugal force is so high that it throws off any ice buildup, or actually the ice cannot build up. However, in this part of the prop, this part of the prop can be heated up so that the buildup, there is no buildup of ice in here. In the engine cowling, we can see, surprise surprise, the engine. So 3 and 3, 6 cylinders per engine. It's a turbocharged engine, so there is a turbine here in the back of the engine, turbine and compressor, not a radial compressor but a centrifugal compressor, as you have in your cars, not as you find in a jet engine. This is the oil dipstick and of the engine. So yeah. Now moving under the, okay, let's just start with this. So this is part of the engine cooling system. Of course, the engine is liquid cooled, and it has a cooling liquid inside it. However, that cooling liquid is transfers its heat to the air, to the outside air, which is provided by these intakes, so that air can pass through all the engine cowling and cool down everything that it touches. These are the exits. So we have upper exits for the cooling airflow, and we also have lower. Okay, lower exits for the airflow, which are here in this part. Of course, the more exits you can, the more air you can take out of the engine cowling, the more air gets in to cool the engine. So because air temperature in a piston engine for an aircraft is quite important, you are not allowed to cool the engine too much or to heat the engine too much. you do have a way of changing how much cooling goes into the engine. Now if I go back in, this is the flap, the cowling flap of the engine. You can increase the air that cools the engine by opening this flap using using these two rods inside the cockpit. So now we've opened the left engine cowling, and as you can see, the flap is not obstructing anymore these exits. Let's close it back in. Let's not forget anything opened or closed or whatever I'm showing. Here you have the main exhaust pipe, this large one, and this is the wastegate exhaust pipe. So because you have because there's a turbine and a turbocharger, basically a turbocharger assembly, there are engine regimes where you need to not energize the turbine too much, because it's detrimental to the engine. One of those instances is when you go back on the power very fast. Of course, in an aircraft engine you don't do that. However, in a car engine you can do that, and you can hear that whistling of the turbine. That's because that's actually the wastegate, and some people actually install whistles, special whistles on the wastegate, and that exhaust air that goes through the wastegate and not through the turbine, so that it doesn't rotate. Well, it rotates every time, but it rotates all the time, but you don't add more power to it, so you don't add more compression to the intake air. So they install whistles, and you can hear very loud whistling when they take their foot off the gas pedal. Not much of a concern for aircraft engines, because you have to treat them very slowly. You have to take off power slowly and add power slowly in an aircraft engine usually. However, there is a regime in the aircraft engine that the wastegate is useful, and that is because aircraft engines fly through different pressures, and the difference in pressure between the outside and the engine can become quite large, that it goes over the manifold limits, because you're putting too much exhaust into the turbine and thus too much compression into the compressor, into the intake of the engine, and that can be detrimental, of course, to the engine. So because of that, you have a wastegate that takes out some part of the exhaust, and which thus doesn't go through the turbine and doesn't add up to the compression in the manifold. This is the exhaust that comes from the wastegate. Okay, let's get up. My knees hurt. Okay. Now I think we can. Yeah, let's go with this, and with this walk around with all this stuff in place and all these things opened, and we'll close them when we're in the cockpit. Now this, okay, let's go back a bit. This is the propeller hub. it's a constant speed propeller, so it has a governor inside it. It is powered basically by the oil system of the engine and its an internal spring inside it. Basically, when you put more power on the engine, the oil pressure will increase. Actually, the speed of the propeller will increase, which will open up a valve towards the oil system of the engine, which will push a piston that actually moves the angle of attack of the blades, and thus it will increase the angle of attack, making the propeller go slower. The other thing happens when you take off power from the engine. The valve closes, and the spring, a calibrated spring of course, will push the piston into a low angle of attack state, which will drive the RPM higher. It's a very ingenious system actually, but of course it's another thing that can go wrong, that can break in these engines, in these aircraft. So yeah, well, nobody said that aviation is cheap. Okay, that's the oil. Whoa, the oil. I said already the oil dipstick, and well, the oil intake. You can put oil in the engine through that hole. Now let's talk about this. So this is a flap that has to do with the cabin air temperature. As you go higher in the atmosphere, and this aircraft can do 30,000 feet, which is amazing. We're not talking about pressurizing the cabin now, we're just talking about the temperature. Air temperature drops quite a lot, so to be comfortable inside the aircraft you need to heat it up. The air inside the cabin is heated by going through an exchanger with engine with the cooling system of the engine. However, there may be too much. The temperature that the air gets from the engine may be too much. So that's why you have these intakes. Inside there's a radiator, and you have the outtake. So air goes in through the radiator and goes out. What this does is exchange heat. The cabin air exchanges heat with the outside air so that it cools down. However, as you reach 20,000 feet or more, the air temperature is so low that it may cool the air inside the cabin way too much. So you have a way of adjusting how much heat you give to the outside air from the cabin, and you do that using this flap and a rotating knob inside the cabin, which is this. So let's take the left side one and close it fully. In this case there is no exchange of air with the outside anymore, because the outside is way too cold, and the heating via the engine cooling system is sufficient to heat up the cabin and stay within a comfortable region. I found that I closed these I think at around 16,000, or it depends of course on winter or summer, but 20,000 they are closed. If you go over 20,000 you have to close them to keep a comfortable temperature in the cabin. Let's open the back up. Let's open the flap back up, the slit back up, and let's back up. Let's see, have I forgotten anything? Okay, not yet. Good, perfect. Now we have all the luggage, front luggage compartments, or 4 luggage compartments opened, but what I want to point out in Flysimware's model are these windows, small readouts. So the right side one is the hydraulic system quantity indicator. So before any flight you look here to see if you are at max full. I guess this is way too much, but it's okay. Maybe they didn't correctly do the visuals on this. The hydraulic system, if we're talking about the hydraulic system in this aircraft mainly has to do with moving the gear, the landing gear down and up. It also drives the AC compressor, the air conditioning compressor, but that's a small part of it. So if you don't if your hydraulic system fails, you will not be able to move the landing gear. However, there is an emergency system in namely the blowdown bottle. So this system has if everything fails, this system also has a bottle pressurized to the normal pressure that will get the gear down and locked, which is of course closed, and if you move the emergency gear into the gear down position, that bottle will be punctured and all that pressure will go into the system and drive the gear down. So you do have an emergency system for this, and before any flight this needle should be within the green area, which it is. Great. Okay, now going back, of course the pitot tubes. We have 2 pitot tubes. They give you dynamic pressure of the air outside, which in combination with the static system will give you air speed. By the way, I haven't found the static ports in this aircraft. My POH, I have a POH that is for a similar aircraft, for a similar 414, and they should be somewhere after this. So when the fuselage goes narrower, they should be there. However, I couldn't find them. Not a big thing. However, yeah, it's maybe. Let's see, maybe it's this one, but I don't think so. You shouldn't put a static port here. This is a stagnation point, so no, you shouldn't put it there. Maybe this should be the, but why 2 and why do they look like that? Anyway, it doesn't matter. Underneath, nope. Also, there is something that looks like a static port, however it cannot be a static port because of its, okay, this looks like a static port, however it cannot be a static port because of the airflows that travel through here. You have a lot of skin friction and skin airflows. You're near the leading edge of the wing. It's not a good place to be. Plus, the pipes would go through the engine cowling, which is heated up, so air density will change, which is again not good. So no, that's not a static port. Oh, I haven't talked about the tips. So the tips are curved for the propellers of the Chancellor. This is basically a wingtip, a winglet, sorry, which drives down the drag created by the blade, and of course the whole flight becomes more efficient. This is a superb aircraft. I missed on saying that, but it's superb. The modeling is superb. Everything is superb. Flysimware have done a very good job. Yes, I know the Piper Comanche is out from A to A, but this is another class. This is basically a small airliner, while the Comanche is a small GA or a medium GA, okay, if you want. Okay, another luggage compartment, another slit for the heat exchanger for cabin air. Okay, now we move on to the right engine, and on the right engine, besides the oil dipstick, which by the way, as you can see, you can access it from the right side, from the inner side of the engine, while in here, where for the left engine you would access it from the outer side of the engine. That's because the engines are positioned exactly the same, and the propellers turn in the same way. So for this case, for example, this propeller turns to the right from the pilot's view, as is this. So both propellers turn to the right. They are not like in turboprop aircraft, which usually have counter-rotating propellers. Now, so this is the dipstick. This is for the oil system, to check the oil system, and this is the hydraulic system. Check and fill up. You can put in more hydraulic fluid, as it's called, right in here, and of course checking it. As I said, hydraulic system has to do with gear, landing gear down and up, manipulation, and the air conditioning system. Okay, another luggage compartment on the right wing. Let's check again. Oh, the fuel cap and the fuel fill up port, the wicks, of course, just as on the other side. and we move on to the stabilizer and the tail. This looks okay. The wicks are protected by the vanes. The electrostatic vanes are protected by these caps, I guess. And also you have here the rudder lock. Whoa. The rudder lock, and to unlock it has to go down, so it's basically, if it looks aerodynamic, it's unlocked. Now it's locked. That's to protect the aircraft in windy conditions while it stays on the ground. Okay, the left part of the stabilizer. There's a light here, also a position light, white, should be white, and it is, I guess. Okay, also, as you can see, you've got the de-icing boots for the stabilizer too, and up here on the tail, on the vertical stabilizer, you've got, I don't think that's a boot, maybe it is, yes, I think it's a boot. It's not a, so it's de-icing, it's not anti-ice, it doesn't heat up, it's just inflating that to get rid of the ice build-up. Okay, I didn't look at the gear and the tires, they look okay, of course. And now we can head into the aircraft and get our passengers in and get it ready for takeoff. Okay. So we're gonna close all these maintenance doors. The rudder lock should be unlocked, and yoke lock should be unlocked. By the way, I'm flying via keyboard because I'm away from home, so yeah. If I fly poorly, and I will, especially with ground rolls, well, maybe the runway roll, because taxiing is okay, but the runway ground roll is quite challenging, plus the actual landing, of course. Anyway, pitot covers off, static wicks, we'll take the caps off, tie downs, let's untie it, engine plugs off, and chocks. Actually, let's keep the chocks. I won't close these, just to see the luggage that you have in. But before that, we have to talk about the systems in here on the panel, on the cockpit panel. So you've got the valves right here. This is the state you should let the aircraft in, and when you go through the preparation, you put that in and you open the valves. So those are the fuel valves. You've got in here the suction, so this is the system that operates the gyro, the gyros. Basically any system that needs a gyro is operated by the suction system, which is energized by the engine, by engine pumps. As I said, this aircraft can go to 30,000 feet. So yeah, let's take that off. 30,000 feet. So you have a pressurizing system, a very complex pressurizing system, as opposed to big airliners you don't just get a button of named pack or packs and just press that and you have all temperature and pressurizing taken care of. You don't. In this aircraft you have to do it yourself. This is the pressurizing system. You've got the air conditioning system here for cooling the air inside, and you have the heaters, the heating system, which is made of this plus the buttons here. By the way, all all, maybe not these ones, spare, these are just spare, spare altimeter, no, it's a spare alternator. Yeah, it's a generator, basically an electric generator. You've got the field fuse and main fuse of the alternator, but most of these work and they do shut down the system that you're taking off. So yeah, they really work. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful aircraft, these two, and it's way up there in the study level. Okay, normally I keep this to depressurize until until before takeoff. Okay, moving on. So you have the difference in pressures. You have cabin pressure and you have the difference in pressure from the outside to the inside. It shouldn't go over green, but if it does, there will be a valve opened and you will see this going up or down very fast to never go over the red line. And of course you will see here, this is the cabin rate. So it's basically a cabin vertical velocity indicator. What does the cabin pressure do? It goes down or it goes up. This is the way you set up the system, the pressurizing system. There are notches for each flight level or altitude you may fly to. Let's set it up for this one. Let's say yeah, we're flying 180, flight level 180, so you go to 180 to 18,000. This is 18,000, but then you look at here, this is the actual pressure in the cabin that you will get, and you add 500 feet. So I'm gonna go with 5,000 for the cabin and 18 and then some as flight level. So now it's depressurized. So if you fly lower than 12,000 feet, give or take, you cannot pressurize. You can go without pressurizing the system. So so you can keep this to depressurized and you have less to account for and less things to do in the cabin. Okay, so okay, these are all sorts of pressurizing air locks that you can pull to use ram or dump the air and stuff like that. Again, air conditioning. This is a different system than the actual heating, using the engine cooling system. So this is an actual air conditioning machine which uses a compressor, just as you have in your apartment or in your car. It uses a compressor and it exchanges pressure of the cooling liquid, which takes heat from the inside and places it outside. There is a change in phase there, in state there. It goes from liquid to gas. Well, it's a very interesting process. I'm not going to go into the details now. This is the normal gear handle, and this is the emergency gear control. This operates that bottle in the nose of the aircraft. This is the lighting, the inside lighting, the instrument lighting system. Oh, by the way, for this you need hydraulic pressure, so it won't work unless the engines are turning. This is cabin air. This heats up the air, basically. This is the flaps handle and the flaps indicator and the flaps safety regions. So basically, if you are under 171, you can do flaps 15 and add a lot of drag to your or some drag to your aircraft when you're descending. 171 is quite a high speed, but it helps with this is quite an aerodynamic aircraft, so it's quite slippery. Okay, manual inside, yeah, of course, manual inside, yeah. Okay, now let's go here. This is the outside air temperature. It shows you the outside air temperature. Yeah, nice bike. In Fahrenheit over the top and in Celsius over the lower scale. Of course, it needs electrical power to work. This is the Devatron clock. Clocks are highly used in aviation, especially when you're doing a circling approach, which we may have to do today at Innsbruck. So you go for 26, and at the OCA, at the obstacle clearance altitude, you just do an offset to the left of the runway and come to 08. However, we may not have to do that. If you operate this while the battery is off, you change the hour settings from 24-hour display to 12-hour display. So let's see what's now. I want a 24-hour display. This is the actual time now. I changed the time so that we can see something. This is this would be night time, so we wouldn't be able to see anything, so let's go with that. Okay, this is basically a VOR indicator with some features. Yes, there are some features there that you can do. You can actually do an arc and VOR arc if you want. This is a turn and slip indicator. This is another radio navigation indicator. Of course, it just shows you where the stations are. ADF or so ADF or yeah, ADF or VOR, whatever you want to put there. This is the attitude indicator. This is the attitude indicator. This is the HSI, horizontal situation indicator. This is the way you tell the autopilot what altitude to keep. So it's a Honeywell altitude display. You've got the altitude alert here, you've got the autopilot off, you've got the marker beacon test, you've got the inner marker beacon annunciator, the middle and the outer. Okay, of course the altimeter, which by the way in MSFS, just as in FSX, if you press B you get the right setting of the altimeter instantly, both of them, all of them. This is the VVI, the vertical velocity indicator, vertical speed, however you wanna call it. And this is the radio altimeter indicator, where you can set the decision height. Of course you can test it and stuff like that. Now here is the engine, here are the engine instruments with an added feature of the fuel computer, which again is modeled, is deeply modeled, just as the Devatron clock is. So you have the manifold. This basically is the difference between outside and inside of the engine, or is the pressure, just the pressure inside the engine, because now it's showing the outside pressure. Basically 114, yeah, 2990 something, yeah. So it's when the engines are not turning, it shows you the outside pressure, because the engine is open to outside pressure directly. Basically, when the engines are turning, however, it shows you the pressure inside the manifold, before going into the cylinders. The more pressure you have, the more power the engine outputs. This is the RPM of the propellers, of course. The fuel computer will need to set this up. This is the EGT, the exhaust gas temperature. We'll need these to man the mixtures, and also to set the engine to whatever we need. So if we want economical speed, we should set the engine, for example, if we want economical speed, we should set the engine at peak EGT, so the highest EGT we can obtain. We'll move the mixtures until we get the highest EGT. In the POH, the recommended lean is 50 Fahrenheit below peak EGT on the rich side, so we go to peak EGT, and then we enrich the mixture a bit until we reach 50 Fahrenheit above the EGT. That means 2 divisions on the EGT indicator. And there is also in the POH a best power EGT, which is 130 Fahrenheit below EGT on the rich side. So we go to peak EGT and we push forward the mixtures until we get 130 Fahrenheit above it. Below it, of course. I think I said above it when I was talking about the recommended lean too. Anyway, it's below it, of course. That's peak EGT. If it's peak, then nothing can go above it. These are the normal engine instruments for left and right engine. Of course, we've got oil PSI should be in the green, so pressure in the oil system. We've got temperatures for the cylinder head, should be in the green, and actually should be in the thicker green. And then we have okay. And then we have the oil temperature, which again should be in the green. On the other side, we've got the fuel quantity, but as somebody said, fuel quantity indicators in GA aircraft are not very dependable. However, this is the fuel computer is a very dependable system. It has very good sensors for fuel flow and stuff like that, so you can fly without it, of course, there's no problem. However, if you do this in a commercial manner, I think this is used all the time to keep track of everything. So now here ADF, we have the ADF for non-directional beacons, so radio navigation again. We've got some placards. This is quite important. Turbo limitations. We will not go into the turbo limitations, so we will only be at 18,000 feet. We will not have any limitation because 41 is the limit anyway, so yeah, of course we'll keep it in the green after takeoff, but this is another airspeed indicator for the right side, and we have a horizontal attitude indicator, an HSI, an altitude indicator, and a VVI. This is the timer, the electronic datacon timer, which shows how much have you flown the aircraft. I've flown it 34 hours, so yeah. Oh, this is this shows the health of the prop de-ice system. When you put the prop de-ice in, this needle should be in the green, because if it's in the high, it takes way too much power from the alternators, and if it's in the low, it doesn't work. So yeah. Okay. Now this is kind of the main panel of the systems where you turn them on and off. This is the wheel brake, the parking brake, and of course you have pedals and stuff like that. Now let's put the passengers in. Okay, let's open this. Let's go with that. Okay, you can recharge this by pressing on in the corner, or actually on the screen if you find it. I've done some long flights and it depletes, the battery depletes, so you press that and you have another 2 hours of battery. Okay, shocks is okay. Okay, now first and foremost, let's put the fuel in. We're at 0, and we need, for this flight with all our alternate, by the way, will be at Munich International, so Echo Delta Mike, I think it's no, Echo Delta Delta Mike, yeah, Echo Delta Delta Mike. And we are taking off from Lima Juliet Mike Bravo, and we are going to Lima Oscar Whiskey Indigo. Indigo or India? India. Anyway, plant block is 275 kilos. I have a small program here that converts that into gallons. So fuel gallon, okay. So first off, we need to put in 137.5 kilograms per wing. So 137 kilograms per wing. Okay, and this, okay, 275 as we needed. Perfect. Now 275 kilograms. 75 kilograms means 104 gallons. So let's put the battery on. This shows okay, this shows 0. So we need to put in, as I said, 104 kilograms. We're not filling it up. So we are putting in, okay, fill up, add gallons. So 104. Let's check again. 104. Yes. So again, func and enter. Now we see the orange text, which means that we are in the operational phase of the system. We can also take it off now, and we need to put our loadout in. So we're gonna get Alicia and John, and we're gonna get Julie and 2 kids. Let's say Cindy with tablet and Bobby. As luggage, we'll put so everything that's surrounded by this yellow line is the nose locker. I'm putting everything in the nose locker, or at least a lot of it in the nose locker. If you go here, you can actually check your center of gravity, which is quite dangerously on the aft limit. So that's why I'm usually putting luggage in the front compartment. So we have 3 adults and 2 children. So I'll put 3 bags, actually 4 bags, and that's it in the front compartment. Let's see them. Yes, they're there. Beautiful. And the people are here too, of course. Yeah, you've got the boy, the girl, the older woman, the woman, and the guy. Okay, now let's go back to here and close up everything, even the door. Chucks can go now, and we can start off. Before doing that, so I got this 104 was okay. So before doing that, I'm gonna start up another application of mine to get the weather. Okay. Okay. And okay. So let's see. Okay, so the wind is 160 at 3 and he gave me runway 14, which is great. Okay. Okay. Good. We are ready to start. Ready to prepare for start. Before doing that, let's go here, let's check the voltage. Of course it's okay. There is a bit of a load in the aircraft. We have this with red fonts, so that means it's in setup mode. We have to change it. 104 is okay, we have to change it to the operational mode before starting the engine. Check this. Okay. Nav lights should be on. Yes, perfect. No prop the eyes, no surface, no other systems on. This should be okay. Off. Yes, that's great. Now let's open the valves. Oh, by the way, I didn't check this. It's okay. Open the fuel valves and open the cowling flaps to cool the engines. Okay, we're gonna start the right engine first. So I usually do this. I put this, I open the throttle. Of course the props should be in full forward, maximum RPM, and I put the mixture into full reach. Then you have to have the pump, and there should be fuel flow. Well, there shouldn't be fuel flow because you don't have this doesn't register anything. There should be fuel pressure actually, but there is no anyway, let's not waste the battery with this pump. Okay, the prop is cleared. We'll prime the engine a bit. 1, 2, 3 and 4. It's summer, so you don't need that much priming. And now put the multimeters on. I can put all of them and start it up. Okay, I think that's a good start. Now watch the RPM. It will go over 1000 because this is way too much, so I will have to put it back a little, Okay, I think that's it. 1000 RPM. It creeps up. No, well, yes, so maybe just a bit more on the downside. And now I can actually, first off, we've started an engine, so we should put the alternator in. Battery discharging goes to 0, and the right alternator should now work. Take the full load. Okay, now full mixture on the right side, on the left side, and match these two. Well, give or take, we're gonna see how matched they are. Again, pump on. 1, 2, 3 and before. Clear prop. Let's see if it started. Yes, it's increasing RPM, it's increasing manifold pressure. Let's see if I've matched these two. And well, they're not. So which one is lower? The left side is higher, so we should be pulling down on this. Actually, you can watch the manifold pressure. That's a very good way to match the engines, because they react very fast. So we have 1.2 and 1.1 gallons per hour consumption. Temperatures are okay, pressures, so pressure is okay, temperatures are not okay, the engine is still cold, but the oil is heated up, so we're okay. Now, left alternator on to take the load. Let's see if it's working. It's working. I'm gonna choose this one to be my guide for the electrical system. Before going into anything else, let's see, because usually the temperatures are way too high after you start the engine, so yes, I'm gonna close this. Okay, and I'm gonna start the air conditioning unit in cool. Just give it a bit, and I think it's in the low blower now, and this is the high blower, but I don't need the high blower, so low blower. It's better. Let's watch our passengers. They're sweating a bit, but it'll be okay in a few seconds or moments. Okay, everything else is good. Okay, now let's start the avionics. Everything comes to life. Okay, so my last flight was during the night, that's why these are so dark. Okay, and you too. By the way, this is these are the PMS. Yeah, let's see. PMS 50 GTN 750. So these are the GTN 750 units from PMS 50. The free, I guess you already noticed that these are the free versions. The free version will be IFR. Well, actually, of course we won't be IFR, but there will be nobody protecting us from conflicts, but we'll put in an IFR transponder code. Okay, so this is track up, while this is north up. I like to do that. Usually I put this in a very wide area, while this shows me what happens. Now we haven't talked about the synchrophaser of the propellers. As you can see now, the propellers are out of sync, and that's because this is a bit lower. Whoa, it's much lower now. No, usually what I do is this. So just to synchronize them while I'm on keyboard. So the right position, is the right needle, so a bit under the second. So I go to idle and then put them both up. So idle, and now put them both up to where they should be. Now they should synchronize better, not perfect, but better. So this is the indicator of the propeller synchronizer. If it goes to the right, then the right is fast. The right propeller is fast, as it says right here. And however, there is a system that can synchronize them, electrically synchronizing them, and it's started using this switch over here. The condition is that the props should be within 50 RPM of each other, because lower than that the synchrophaser doesn't work, because it has to protect for engine loss. If you lose one of the engine, there is no point in synchronizing the two propellers anymore. So if one engine goes lower than 50 RPM than the other, then the synchrophaser doesn't work. So it's safe to use it during cruise, and I guess also during descent, or because of that protection and climb. Okay, so yeah, temperature's coming up. If they cannot reach the green, I can close which I will do now, that there is no problem with this. I close the cowling gates, cowling flap, to have less cooling of the engine. Oh, I didn't say what this is. This is a DME indicator, and as I said, we're gonna go to 18,000 feet. Okay. By the way, there is gyro drift, so this drifts off. However, just as in FSX, you have a button to synchronize and take out the drift within the gyro automatically. Let's say you press D, and that takes out the gyro drift. So just get used to pressing D once in a while you're flying, if you fly with gyro drift. Okay, let's set up the flight plan. So okay, we have to set origin. So Lima, Mike, no, it doesn't like backspace. Lima, Juliet, Mike, and Bravo, which should be Maribor. Yes. Set origin, set destination. Why did it? Anyway, so it's Lima, Oscar, Whiskey, and India. Innsbruck. Now add our route point. We'll be going to Golva, direct Graz. So Golva, Golva, direct Graz, GRZ, duplicates found. Okay, GRC, let's enter it. show me. It's the same thing, however one is VOR, one is NDB. I'm gonna go with the VOR. Another route point in GID INGID in GID Austria. Yes, that's the one. And put another route waypoint, Bumuk, BUMUK, Austria, of course. Bumuk, and another one, Rasta. STA, Rasta, double gates found, of course. I'm talking about the Austrian fix. And then RTT, which is the, I've actually put this in the flight plan. We're gonna go with a visual approach, basically that goes on the localizer, which is skewed a bit to the left. Well, we'll see when we get there. So RTT, Rattenberg, this is an NDB, so you can actually do a holding pattern here. There is a published holding pattern for this point at a minimum of 8,500 feet, which is quite high, but we're going into a high, into a very mountainous area. So yeah. Okay, now we actually have a procedure for the departure, and it's gonna be Golva Doi Golf to Golf, sorry. Golva to Golf. Okay. Runway 14. Yeah, we're taking off south, and we need to go north. So yeah, that's the departure. Load the departure. Go to the map. I've put here the wind. Here the distance to destination, 225 miles. The distance to next waypoint. Of course, I forgot something, so let's put an approach procedure, not an arrival procedure. We should go with localizer 26R. Yeah, I think that's tuk. Yeah, I don't know the procedures at Innsbruck, but I'm gonna go with the normal one, because from RTT we're gonna go like this and then get down to the runway. Not activate, load approach. Yes. Okay. I don't know why it puts it like this. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I can go direct to any time I want, so it's okay. Let's listen on the second. Frequency 2. Okay. Now, what we should do is just go forward, take the runway. This is our taxi briefing, and then go to the start of the runway of runway 14. Just turn here and take off. Okay, I think we can go like this. Yes. Good. Maybe let's put this into 122.8. Even though we're not on VATSIM, it's okay. Temperatures still under the green, but it's okay. Let's not worry about that too much. Okay, the temperature has gone down to, well, 20 or maybe even lower, so we'll take off the cooler, a bit of the cooler, so that it rises again. Check out the aircraft again. Let's check flight controls. Try to keep this centered so that we don't have a problem when we take off. Okay, that's the rudder and the ailerons. Okay, let's use a bit of flaps, even though usually there is no point in using flaps, but let's do for now. And let's taxi to the entrance of the runway, as I said, going straight and then coming here and stopping here to do the run-up, the engine run-up. Let's not forget to I'm just reading what I wanted to talk about, and I think I checked everything that I wanted to talk about. Okay, de-icing boots. Yes, let's check the de-icing boots, because they actually move, so it's amazing. It's actually amazing. It's maybe the first time in a simulated model that we have this. So yeah, now first off, let me find the de-icing button. So these are the boots. Let's see them inflating. Look at that, look at that. That is amazing. That's actually amazing. Wow. Okay, it goes off, so it does a one cycle and then it turns itself off. I'm gonna reset the system. I don't know if it inflates again, if the cycle requires it to inflate again. The temperature is rising too fast. Okay, taxi light on, which is a light in the nose wheel. And of course, because we have everything open now, we can put the pressurizer on. We can tell the system that we're gonna need pressurizing after there is no weight on wheels. And this actually inflates around every point that can leak air. There is a small rubber hose inflated around the doors, and that keeps the air from escaping, and it keeps the pressure constant inside and at a high pressure. So let's put in some RPM to have the aircraft moving. Oh, this is on, this is off. Yes. Okay. Yes, we are moving. But are we that heavy? So maybe the flaps were a very good idea. I didn't oh, yeah. So max takeoff is, we're 200 kilograms below. Anyway, that's how summer is. You really okay, as you can see, this is very fidgety. Let's check the brakes. By the way, the brakes are not hydraulically powered. Well, they are hydraulically powered, but they are just in your car. It doesn't use a pressurized system. It's an unpressurized system, just like in your car. So basically, you press the brakes with a certain force over surface over area is actually pressure, and you put that force on a large piston, which in turn pushes into smaller pistons. So you have all that pressure that divides now on a smaller area. All that force divides on a smaller area, and that means high pressure for the system. Well, anyway, yeah, that was a poor explanation, but you get the gist. I'm just thinking of something else right now. I have to do the run-up check of the engine. So let's put brakes on, pumps on high, everything is on there, everything is on good. We should open the cowl flaps. I think I've called them in numerous ways today. So I said slits, I said gates, I said flaps. Anyway, yeah, we're gonna go with heading for the first moments after the liftoff. We're also gonna go with GPS after that. Okay, and IAS, but I'm not gonna push it now. Good. Let's go to 1800 RPM. I think the 1800 is chosen because you don't energize the turbine, so all turbochargers have a certain range of RPM that they actually provide pressurizing air for. If you have low RPM, you're not gonna give it a lot of exhaust to the turbine, so you're not gonna see a lot of air being pressurized. On the other hand, if you go over a certain region, everything or most of it goes through the wastegate, so again, you're not doing anything more than that. So let's go to 1800 RPM. The cylinder, okay, is rising. So 17. And 18. Okay, so let's test the magnetos. Yes, there's a dip. It's small. It's okay. In dual engine aircraft like this one, you can actually check the dip in the RPM with the other needle. So it's quite nice. Okay, back to both magnetos for the right engine. Again, we see a dip, and it's Now the left engine. Yes. Right engine, left engine, right middle off, and it's okay. Now cycling the governors. So under 1500. Cycle it to. Let's wait for it to go up. Okay. And that's about it. Good. So mixer of this can go to low, but before takeoff we should put them to high. We are taking the runway, so we should put the anti-collision on, but not the landing. Yes. So let's do some range here. And I usually keep my keep my tablet on so that I can check the temperature as we're climbing. So we have quite a lot of RPM. Let's go lower. Okay, this is going to pressurize, and usually I use a low rate, low cabin rate, unless there is a huge difference. The difference needle is approaching the red thing, but yeah, I drive aircraft like I drive cars, so I'm keeping to the right or to the left instead of keeping the middle of the runway. But again, I'm on keyboard, so it's quite problematic. Okay, let's say we have been given the takeoff clearance, so landing lights on. Oh my god, I screwed up that turn. Okay, everything is closed. Let's check the trim. Put it near the center. I'm gonna take off the heater, the air conditioning, because I need hydraulic pressure for the gear. You could take off with that system still on, but yeah. That's how I do stuff. Okay, so let's go. The FD is on, AP and YD is off, Heading is selected, and pitch is the vertical. Okay, let's go. Let's keep the brakes on. I'm slowly going to full. Now let's see if I can manage to hold this as much as possible on the center line. It's not like I'm being monitored here and my license will be void if I don't. Up, not too much. Let's center the rudder and gear up. Keep that increase speed, so put that nose down a bit, take out the flaps and get the autopilot in with an IAS, which I'm gonna load to 120. This is our climb speed, 120. This is going higher, but let's just wait for it and press the nav, which means GPS in this case because I chose GPS. Let's leave it a bit in this high power regime. Takeoff power, I hate this. Okay, so we're going. Yeah, this is a user point. It always creates this, and I don't bother with it anymore. Okay, so let's go to climb. Power. Okay, 35 inches of manifold pressure. This should suffice. Let's go to time remaining. I usually keep it in time remaining. This is 1800 feet, and it will catch up. Goes up there because we're not going through 20,000 feet. We won't be bothered with changing the manifold pressure. However, we will have to clean the mixture, but I usually do that after 4,000 or after 6,000, depends on the airport elevation. But anyway, it's a personal preference. Let's see it from the outside. This is beautiful, by the way. I always forget to stop the taxi lights, and I forgot to put the heaters for the pitot heat and the stall vent. As you can see, there is cabin air is going lower, so we're gonna have to use the heaters. Cabin is rising, cabin pressure is rising. I can take it slower if I want to. Usually I do. And the aircraft is climbing as expected. Everything is within the right ranges. We're turning north now. And I guess we can also mean the mixture of it. this is PKGD, and recommended is plus 50 on the reach side, so somewhere around there. Great. Okay, within the yellow band, so I have to put on the cabin, cabin fan, low cabin fan, and cabin heat. Also, air vents should be opened, and now air is coming to the cabin, and we should see this rising. If it's not rising, we should close some of the, we should close the slits that I've shown you. So these slits should be closed a bit so that we're getting higher temperatures inside the cabin. The air outside is just 11 degrees Celsius, so yeah, it has dropped quite a bit. I'm using Dauntless Aviation SimPlates Ultra X. I've been using this for 10 years or so, I'm not going to anything else. I like them. I don't need charts to show up on a tablet. So I said localizer, DAE, I think it's procedure east. Localizer on 26. It's procedure east, and so yeah, from Rattenberg 207, from Rattenberg to Advig, and then going via 254 course on the localizer. So localizer is 111.10. So first off, let's return these. 111. So 111.10. Enter, and let's actually put them out here to doesn't matter that it was closer frequency. So 111 point, and then I have to change the course to 254. 254. Also, I think, yeah, 10,000 was the transition level, so let's put in 113, and here too. I think it's a bit harder, but yeah, well, like that. Okay, so everything looks okay. Yeah. I think we should do it again. So this is the KGT, and now we're going to divisions on the reach side, which is about there. Okay, lights are retracted. Okay, temperature inside is way too low, so I'm gonna go to high blower, to high ventilation, and I'm gonna close the outside heat exchangers. So these are closed now, totally closed. Climbing beautifully. Come on. Okay, let's see what is the pressurizing doing. So the pressure has reached what I commanded, and now the difference is rising up until 18,000 feet. We're at 3,500 feet from the target altitude. By the way, once we get to RTT, to Rattenberg, actually by Rattenberg we should be at 9,500 feet, and then we're gonna go into the approach, but 9,500 feet all the way to the final approach fix of the approach, at which point we should be descending at 3.77 degrees, which is quite a high descent rate. Let's see, at 120 knots, where is the okay, no, it doesn't give us anyway, we'll manage. I guess, let's see what the weather is at Innsbruck. So it's variable at 1. We can come on the runway 25. Did it change to 25 and not to 6? Well, the chart of course doesn't show any actual runway, because it's not specially created for a runway, as it's the case for Innsbruck. You can change runways while on the approach. So let's see the aerodrome chart. So we've got 26 and 08. No, it didn't change. Good. an OCA, an MDA, minimum descent altitude in this case. If we can manage a climb gradient of, let's say I can manage a climb gradient of 3%, our MDA should be 4,400 feet, which means 2,510 feet from the ground. Okay. Yeah, so the aircraft has reached its climb, its cruise altitude. Now let's go into the cruise. I chose, let's say, a low power setting cruise, 27 inches and 2100 RPM. So let's go to 27 inches. And now let's go to 2100 RPM. Which dials down the noise, which is quite excessive, as you saw. Let's be a bit on the safe side and put a bit more RPM. Well, that's way too much. Okay, just let's be in the green band. Synchro phaser should be on, and the rest is history. Okay, see, the atmosphere is quite has a low temperature, and the heater cannot hold this high cabin temperature. They put it in high. Yes, it's in high. Yeah. There's not much I can do. Maybe let's see if this works. I've never tried this in the cruise, but why cool? No, this is just for cooling. It's an air conditioning system that only cools stuff. So no, we shouldn't use that. Okay, let's lean the thing. So we're gonna go to PGT. It's still rising. Now it's not. And now let's be on the okay, well, let's leave it here. Great. Put that in the bag, and we can tell the passengers, please put your jackets on. It's not -10, but it's still cold. there's not much to say in the cruise, of course. Just system monitoring. Green, green, green. Oh, this should be kept aligned for safety reasons. Pressure is okay, it's under the red, which is perfect. That need to be on are on. Wow, this is but well, it's within this range, this whole range, so I guess it's still okay. Now let's charge the battery. Let's see if this works. No. Okay, let's see if this works. Yeah, I think that's it. You have to press that that corner. Yeah, it's full. Now it's full. Okay, great. Now lights, pumps can go off. I forgot about them. After the climb, you can take the pumps off. It also dials down on the noise. So now we've got 60 miles to the next waypoint, which is indeed. Ha! Of course I forgot about this. Okay. Time en route to destination 56 minutes, so another hour. I guess I'll see you then. By the way, if you're flying with, like me, with a keyboard, you should center your yoke, and you do that by looking here. So this should be placed, well, give or take, on the center, aligned with the entire horizontal stabilizer, because the autopilot is driving through. Oh my god, this is okay. The stabilizer, this can be closed because the engine is in low power. Because the autopilot is driving via this, as you can see. It's changing the trim. So yeah. Okay. See you before the top of descent. Okay, so we're back. A little before the top of descent, Basically, I calculated the top of descent to be 26 miles from Rattenberg. Again, we're gonna go down to 9,500 feet first, and then while we're on the approach, we're gonna descend at a 3.77 degree descent flight path angle. I've calculated that at 120 knots I have to sustain a descent rate of about 800 feet per minute, which is quite high but manageable. Of course, while calculating the flight path angle, translation of the flight path angle into an actual descent rate, you should use ground speed and not IAS, which I'm gonna use. But within the approach area and the approach procedure, you are at low altitudes with low wind, so IAS, indicated airspeed, equals through airspeed equals ground speed. Basically, it varies a bit, of course, but yeah, it's around there somewhere. In any case, I'm gonna visually see the runway, so I'm gonna make adjustments if necessary. Bear in mind that going lower, or how do you want it, or higher, okay, we're gonna go mathematically, so going lower than minus 1000 feet per minute means you are in an unstable approach, and I would avoid that, but of course I do want to land, so yeah, we'll see what we can do. Just don't get high on the approach. The cruise was well, it had some bumpy areas after the clouds back there that I was talking about. It kind of started shaking. The turbulence level was well, it wasn't medium. I don't think it was medium because it was kind of rare, but when it happened, it was yeah, it was important, but it didn't go for too much for the of the cruise segment, so yeah, it was a nice flight. Okay, so 26, this is my top of drop, top of descent, so let's go. I usually go 180, and I put this to the end of the green, the manifold pressure, so that means 17 inches of mercury manifold pressure, which gives me about 2000. It will go higher, yeah, of course. That was just whoa. Okay, so yeah, 22,000, something like that, feet per minute descent rate, which is perfect. Okay, another thing to point out is that 11,000 is the transition altitude, so because we're already going lower than that. I'm gonna put in the QNH of Innsbruck, which now is published as being 1015. So yeah, 1015. Also, because we're descending, we should keep an eye on the temperature because it will now get higher. And at 10,000 feet, let's not forget to, by the way, manage the manifold pressure. It will get higher and higher as you descend, so you have to pull back on the throttles. Also, the mixture, just to be safe, go higher so that we don't lose the engines. And at some point we're gonna go with full RPM, full forward RPM, but let's get to the approach. Okay, temperature is coming up. We don't need any DIs, there are no clouds, visible moisture where there is haze, but yeah, there is no danger of icing. And we'll get into the positives momentarily, so it's definitely not a problem today. Let's go. Let's zoom in. Okay. After 9500, we are allowed to go down to 4400 on the approach. Okay, 11,000, switch to kind of like that. Switch to QNH. Okay, 1,000 to go, and we are 10 miles from Rattenberg. We descended too quickly. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's okay. I like being ahead of the 10,000. Lights on. I like being ahead of the profile. Let's put in more mixture. We're in the green with this, as it will still, just to make our lives easier. Let's go to low ventilation. Oh, would you look at this? We've got sorry. I was thinking, why isn't it descending? Okay, let's go to 20 inches of manifold pressure. Let's just keep our speed a bit high. Okay, that was a long pause the game took. The scene took. Okay, now phase, the synchrotron can go, synchro phaser can go off. I've dialed this to 2500 decision height, which is actually 44, well, around 4400 feet above the 4400 feet altitude. Beautiful. Let's see. So 4 miles to Rattenberg, 140 knots. Let's go lower. So this is where the airport is, somewhere in this valley. I think somewhere here is the airport. I'm gonna go to Rattenberg, and then we're gonna go around this valley, over this mountain, to Advig. I think it's called, yes, Advig or Adwig, and then right turn towards the runway. I don't think the localizer should be aligned with the runway, but we'll see. I think I've done only the localizer R procedure, and I've never done this east procedure. Let's check the winds again to be sure we can land on 26, variable at 2. That's perfect. For 26, the 26 is the easier runway to land on. Oh, by the way, you should put this to airport altitude. So now I'm just looking on the inner scale. Airport altitude is 1,900 feet. So 1,000, oh, on the outer scale, sorry. So 1,900, I'm gonna put 2,000 feet and let the system descend the cabin to that altitude. Okay, we have turned towards Advik. I'm gonna take off some power. I'm gonna bring the mixture to full. I don't wanna have to deal with that. And I'm gonna put these to fully opened. So that I don't have to deal with them. Let's go to heading mode. Where is, so heading mode. Let's change this to VOR lock, and we've got signal, perfect. And we can place this in localizer. Super. No. Started doing, there is no. Okay, let's go back to heading. Yeah, every system with its own quirks. But anyway, that's the beauty of things. We're learning everything. So let's see this moving. It's moving. Here is the point where we should start descending, not here. Okay, so come on, get to one line. Okay, one line, localizer. What did I? Okay. Let's go to 4400. Let's descend to 4400. No, not yet. Oh, we've got a signal for okay, let's use it, why not? Yeah, why not? Okay, we're in the descent. Don't forget 4400. We can, yeah, so we are under 170, so flaps 15. Lots of turbulence. Let's put gear down. We can put gear down because the gear can be put down under 170, just like the flaps. Okay, let's say we've got clearance to land. Just another thing I won't have to do. We are, sorry about that, on profile. We are getting to 120. Let's put in more flaps. Okay, now let's bring RPM to full forward and let's look for the runway. This is the runway, so yes, we are skewed to the right. Well, we are skewed to the, well, I don't know how you say this. So I'll have to go left and then come. So we are skewed to the right of the runway, center line. Anyway, it's okay, I was expecting this, so that's okay. Let's put in more power, because I don't want to go below 100 knots. I said I don't want to go below 100 knots, and we'll put full flaps in just a minute. Let's see that we're increasing speed. Yes, we are. Full flaps. Okay. Lights are on. These are on. Let's leave it at that. Let's see speed. Speed is above 100. Let's pull down on the throttle a bit. Okay, engine is a bit high on temperature. Let's prepare for a go around and open the cowl flaps. Runway inside. Good, good, good. 6500. If I press B now, it's 1014. Okay, no problem. We'll go with 1014. Pressurization is going lower. Let's decrease the rate and let's put pumps. Let's prepare pumps for a go around. Okay, I don't need this anymore. I will have to land it manually, so oh, the speed has gotten out of hand. How it looks in a third configuration. It's still beautiful. dirty or not, it's still beautiful. Oh, I haven't talked about the windshield, the heated windshield. So the pilot windshield, pilot side windshield is heated. Basically has a de-icing system being heated by inner heating elements. So you can, if this gets and during winter I did get the ice flowers on this windshield. So yeah, if you start the system, the windshield deicer, you will get rid of the ice. Okay, I heard a signal, so it's 49. We're approaching the decision altitude. Of course, we can descend more than that, because even on autopilot, but I just want, let's do it like that. And okay, take out autopilot, plane is rolling left. I let it roll left because I want to go left to align with the runway. The needle is going low, so let's descend faster. Basically, if I would fly this with my Warthog, with my Thrustmaster Warthog, I would properly manage descent rate via the power levers. However, using a keyboard alone, it's a bit harder to know what's coming and to get to the power setting that you want and all that stuff. So I'm basically doing a hybrid between a GA aircraft approach and a airliner aircraft approach. In an airliner, you basically point the nose into where you wanna land the aircraft, while the auto throttle is maintaining speed. So you're controlling rate, descent rate via it's a nice thing to have this centering button. Otherwise it would be even harder. Of course it doesn't work in pitch, which is actually good, because you don't need to center the pitch axis. You just need roll and yaw to be centered whenever you want. Okay, it's pushing. Yes. Now let's descend faster. I'm high, so I'm gonna take off some power for now and bring the nose down a bit, because yeah. But again, I like to be high when I'm doing this, of course. See, now I've gone to what is a safe idle, and the nose, the rate will increase now or decrease. If you want to increase more, because okay, pressed the wrong button. Doesn't matter. Instead of pressing the brakes, I pressed... Let's go back to the runway. Yes, thank you. Instead of pressing the brakes, I pressed the left rudder to go full, and it did, unfortunately. So yeah, okay, I'm off the runway. I'm off the runway, so this can be retracted. Scan all. Okay. This can go too low, and well, here we are. Yeah, it's a very bumpy. It has a lot of the runway has it's very curvy, so yeah, I jumped, and I didn't want to put a nose up on the flare. Because well, when you're flying, this keyboard is you may press the wrong button at the wrong time, and you will just shoot off up in the air. And yeah, you won't land, you will have to go around. So I didn't want that. So I did a hard landing. But look at this scenery. Wow. By the way, I should be putting this in. Oh, I forgot about the flaps, but let's put the aircraft in a parking position. Flaps up. And here we are at Innsbruck. Wonderful. Pumps can go off. Taxi lights can go off. These are okay. Okay. Avionics can go off. Depressurize the aircraft if need be. We can actually, well, not yet. Okay, so now we can stop engine 2. I'm putting the throttle to full just to burn out any fuel that's inside. Now it can go to idle. Okay. And now I can stop engine number 1 the same manner. Okay, you can put this for 5 minutes or so, just to cool the engine. That's actually that sound is the metal, the thin metal strips, sheets actually, that are found and are very heated up right now. They are cooling very fast, and that's why you hear that. Okay. We still have pressure in the hydraulic, as you can see. Hear that? That means we still have pressure in the hydraulic system. Okay, these are off. This should be off. Okay, and we can no, we can open the door and let the passengers out, and that'll be it. So upper and lower, passengers can get their luggage and get off the aircraft. Okay, and we can put the chocks in, take off the brake, stop the lights, and stop the entire electrical system. I shouldn't put the plugs in, but just to finish up along, because this is gonna be quite long. I'm gonna push this and that, and then okay, so yoke lock and rudder lock. And that's that. We've landed in Innsbruck and we've survived, so it's a good day. Thank you for watching, and see you on the next flight.